Guys, you're doing whatever you want.
Okay.
That's it. And I'm only here to get in and get out just really quick. I like to start some of the panels and then I'm out.
Does everyone know Ken is running the show, so... So, how many people have been here just this year?
Oh, I know where you're
just
going.
Just this year. How many 2 years? 3 years? 4 years? Plus? A lot. Way to go, guys. Way to go. Look at that. Look at that.
So, and I will call Jack out real quick. So, we're just so thrilled and so honored to have Veronica Taylor here, and for a lot of reasons. But one that I really think is important to this community and this show in particular. Friends of mine like Jack Johnson here, who's been, and I'm sure a lot of you, I've known Jack 20-something years, who are fans, who are real fans of anime, and who really appreciate that art form.
There's still room if you want to come in.
I, along with everyone in this community, tried to build this event, and I didn't have that presence, I didn't have that understanding, I didn't have that fan base, or I didn't think I had that fan base. So after all these years, it's really important that we start. I mean, it should have always been an embrace culture. It should have always been a shared event with all of our fans from anime. But we really are kicking it off this year. Without question, Veronica's here to help us kick that off. So, welcome her, everyone. Welcome Veronica. That is all I got. So, just like you all, I am thrilled to have her here.
Thank you. Are you not using the stairs?
No, I'm going to try to break my leg here.
Oh my God. We need you.
So you guys have a great time. Enjoy this thoroughly, and I hope there's many more to come like it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Thank you guys all for coming. If some of you feel like moving more towards the center, do, but otherwise where you are is fine. If this doesn't work, I'm going to move it. I'm just going to move it slightly with my little house here. And then why don't we, if
I
we're
don't know
going
if you
to
want to sit or wander or whatever.
If we're going to sit, let's move our chairs back so that we can see the
Okay.
sides a bit better. Although, that way I can see more of you guys.
Gotcha.
I've got my breakfast still in here, so I went to pharmacy this morning and I have a fresh rhubarb kolache. It's like a little, has anyone ever, first of all, how many people have been to pharmacy? How many people live here in Cape Girardeau? How many people have been to pharmacy? Yes? Good. You should go there. The place is great, and their food is amazing. Plus, it's all local, and they're baking all the stuff themselves. So maybe you should go on Tuesday, because they're closed tomorrow.
Broadway, because most Broadway stores are closed on Monday.
They're on Spanish Street.
Oh, they're
It's
down
kind of
there.
just a touch. Yes, you can get closer. Spanish Street. If you need any recommendations, I've got a few places I've found. I really love it here. I've been able to explore the town a little bit, and tomorrow morning I think I'm taking my walk to really look at the wall and get all of my history. And I got a little bit of it today, and it does really help to see a timeline like that, because you forget, things happen kind of in a blob, but you forget the time between things, like the time between Trail of Tears and Civil War. Like even that, I didn't realize what the time was, So anyway, super exciting. And then there's all the people who were like, wait, this place was Spanish, and then it was French, and then, so it's all laid out there for you. Hello. Well, nobody sees you. No one sees you there. So do you want to start off with questions, or are we just opening it up?
I mean, I'm totally cool with freeform as far as that goes. I did have another one I wanted to ask you. I didn't get to ask on our podcast last night.
Is everyone familiar with Podzilla? That we did.
It's a local podcast that we do, Podzilla 1985. We do a lot of nerd culture, wrestling, paranormal, just all kinds of crazy stuff. Veronica graced us yesterday with
as a
paranormal.
I think I ghosted
otherwise, some of you may have seen me at my table, Sly Ducky Creations, this
really?
weekend.
What do you make?
Crafts, goodies, drawings,
Oh,
that's
how
fun
cool.
stuff.
I'll be stopping by.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, what's your question?
I like to call them legacy cartoons. You've been part of several, as far as like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Ninja Turtles.
Right.
In that end, when you got hired on to play Ash, did you ever think that this show called Pokemon would become as huge as it has?
No, definitely not. And I don't think anyone really did, because I know that they had acquired this property, 4Kids had, and I know, I guess maybe they thought it was something because they said it was going to be on TV, which none of us believed anyway, but we were like, whatever. So you audition for whatever comes your way without knowing at all that it could possibly become something like this. I mean, 20 years later to still be talking about Pokemon is incredible. Do you guys feel like sitting down?
Dude, yeah, there's plenty of chairs over here.
Just walk in. It's like a living room. Although we have no food to serve you. I can't give you my breakfast. There's not enough to share. Yeah. Well, come in and listen some more. Yeah, it's been a remarkable thing to be part of, and I do think it's become legacy because of all of you. I mean, people who love the show and the games and all that Pokemon is. I think that's why it's a legacy, is because of the fans, essentially, and the lifestyle, the Pokemon lifestyle that we all are living.
We have an eager first question.
Yes, your question.
What other voices have you done?
Sure, I've done a lot of things actually. For Saturday morning cartoons, when Pokemon was on, when I was on it, in the first 8 years of the show. I was on that and in Yu-Gi-Oh! And also, I guess my biggest role in that was Carly and 5Ds. And then I was Ancient Fairy Dragon and a bunch of characters sprinkled throughout all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Incarnations. And then, did anyone ever watch Fighting Foodons? Oh, I was yes, I was Claudia on that, and I was Tamara, I think, in Shaman King, and I was Nico Robin. What's that? I think Tamara. No, I can't actually. I have no idea what she sounded like. I have no recollection of that at all. But if I heard her voice, I could. Nico Robin in One Piece.
Robin?
Yeah, so that was fun. She has a lot of arms, which I wish I had.
Get more done.
Yeah, I would get a lot more done, or I could hold like food and a drink at a party. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of anime things, a lot of I do a lot of audiobooks. I do I don't know, tons of voice related stuff.
I can show my age. You were in Winx Club.
Winx, I was in. Yeah, so, pardon me? April, that's right, in Turtles. Yeah, so a lot of stuff. Dinosaur King Max, and that's on now in England. Oddly enough. Yeah. Yes.
What was Black O'Neil?
Okay, so April O'Neil, everyone already knew Turtles when I took over that part in our incarnation of Turtles. So already I was so just honored to be part of that. You guys can just come
There's
all
some
the way
open
in.
chairs over
Just
this
walk
way.
right in. That's good. Hi. So just knowing that I was stepping into that, I don't even know what to call it because it's so imaginative. You can't just say that property or whatever. It's just that world was amazing. I loved that she was so smart and she was so strong because of how intelligent she was. Sometimes I wished she had a little more action because there was a lot of fighting in that show and she wasn't in those scenes. So I was wishing that she was a little more active, but ultimately I'm pretty much against fighting, so I'm happy that she was able to be, her power was through what she could get done and how she could help. So I liked that a lot. As an actor, you just want to have more lines, so that's the only reason.
Well, the Turtles were real people.
Where the Turtles were played by real people, but they're really, they stepped in slime, which is, as a rule, something you should never do.
It's not going to make you a superhero.
No, because even though it's kind of cool, you don't want to be like a guy with a giant shell. It's very hard to ride on an airplane when you've got this thing. You have to sit in the cargo, I think.
I did like that your April was also less of a damsel in distress.
So it was, and it was very much in the writing, and it really followed the comic book books. And so for that, I just thought it was really great. It's nice to have strong role models, and especially strong female role models, because you don't have that many of them really. But then to be able to play Ash, it's great to be a 10-year-old boy who also is someone just like us, who he wins sometimes, he loses a lot of times. He's always out there trying to do his best, which I think is something we can all learn from. We learn from everything we take in, and you hope that a lot of it is good, you know? Yes?
there was a lot of conspiracy theories on Ash.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over those at 1:30 today.
Nice.
With the show spanning, it seems to go by a couple of years. Is it true that he never grows old because he always wanted to be a Pokemon master? In the first episode, he sees Ho-Oh, and it says that Ho-Oh, if you see him, then one of your wishes will be granted. So is it true that he stays young until he becomes a master?
That's really a cool idea. I don't know any kid at 10 who wishes they'd stay 10. You know, every kid at 10 is like, I can't wait till I'm grown up. So I feel like in some ways his wish would have been like, I wish I were 20, you know, that I could really be doing stuff and winning and be all that I wanted to be in my life, instead of realizing that at 10, it's the time that everything is open to you. So in a way, let's say if you did choose that, when you're 10, you don't have a lot of responsibility, you don't have to pay rent, there's so much that you don't have to do, but you can be anyone you want. That's the time when all of your dreams start and you figure out, like, this is who I want to be, this is who I want to be, and it's all a possibility. So I think Ash ultimately, regardless of what conspiracy theory or why he is this way, I think the fact that he stays 10 is because there's a part of all of us that always stays 10. And by watching that, we can, once we're past 10, remember what it was like to be that person of endless possibilities, to not feel that, oh, if I do this, maybe I'll lose. You just go into it all open. And that's how we all really need to approach life, as just open. On their journeys, everyone was the same. Everyone's equal. As a 10-year-old, everyone is equal. And that's, I think, the reminder to how we need to live as human beings. We're all on a journey, and we can all help each other along the way. But you don't gain by stepping on someone to get ahead. You just go out into the world, and you learn, and you travel, and you help. So I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that's true. But however we get to that, I think that's the crux of Pokemon, which is why we all love it so much, why we can relate to it in any age, because it's universal. So that's my real theory on it.
This young lady here in the flowers is having
Yes.
a hand up.
Sure.
What's the best part about being a voice actor?
The best part about being an actor is to be able to jump into anyone else's shoes and really understand who they are because you have it in a limited way. You get to read a script and figure it out, who this person is, what do they want, and how do I best become that person. As a voice actor, you're not limited by someone like me. Like as an actor, I pretty much play people who look like me. Especially nowadays in film and things, you get cast for this. When once I toured with Treasure Island for Children's Theater, and I got to play Jim Hawkins, so I could play a boy on stage. But as a voice actor, I can play anything. I can go to work and be a 10-year-old boy, a sheep, a 90-year-old woman, a pig, anything, all in one day. Because it's all about who you are, not what you look like. So I think that's the thing. In that sense, it's quite unlimited. When I narrate audiobooks, I get to play all the parts and tell the whole story. So as an actor, it's incredibly fulfilling. We'll just switch back and then I'll come back to you. Yes?
As soon as you the point to Ash, can you see the I choose you speak for us?
I can say, King Khan, I choose you! How about Ash right there?
Second row, you have a
This
question?
Ash. Yes, did you have a question?
What would you do if you were never a voice actor?
Oh gosh. I wanted to be an actor since I was 5, and that's really what I set out to do. I did all the plays I could in elementary school, and I went to college and grad school for acting. I don't know, it's like I never thought about being anything else. But I think the next thing that I love is archaeology. And I think that maybe I would go towards something like that, because as an actor, what you do is you get inside and you dig in and you take away the layers of who a person is, and as an archaeologist, you dig out and sometimes you find something and you really delve into why people use these tools, why their communities were the way they were. So I think I might do that because it's similar. Now I travel around the world and go and to farmers markets and find out what you grow, and I talk to people and how does the community work and how did you choose to rebuild your downtown, and so I do that a little bit. Yeah. What about you? What are you thinking about being? Do you have an idea yet?
I was thinking about starting a video game company with my brother and my cousin.
Right? That's a good idea. And then you can even expand on that because video games are incorporating things. You can draw, you can also, there's so many things you can go with. But I think working with your family is a great idea too. And then, again, endless possibilities. Great. Good luck.
So we're getting more brave souls.
I'll go on, how about you there? Yes?
What was it like playing with Sailor Scout, Sailor Pluto?
That's another show that I was so happy to be popped into. So I'm Sailor Pluto in the now Sailor Moon, as we have, yes. It's hard for me to project this far doing voices. Normally I have the microphone, so I can talk this low. Sailor Pluto is, I'm so happy to be here, really. She doesn't have any, she has absolutely no emotion, so
She's my favorite of the Outers.
I really like, she's the Doctor Who of Sailor Moon. But
She is a Time Lord.
she is, yeah, and the fact that she is someone who is so far out and has to figure out how to communicate with people, I find that fascinating. Very difficult to play, but to be part of the Sailor Moon world, and gosh, to see all of the fans that have really embraced me has been overwhelming and really fantastic. What's your question? My favorite Pokemon is Pikachu. Because I spent a lot of time with Pikachu. And when you've got something riding around on your shoulder a lot, you really end up liking that. Yes? Which one? What's Nico Robin. She's like, I haven't done that for a long time. She's let's see. I guess it would be a great thing if I could come here, but I can't really admit that I like anything. Probably
I've actually got two quick questions. Do you have a favorite role out of everything you've played? And is there a role that you missed that you didn't get? Because I know as an actor, you audition for everything and get no like 1,000 times. Is there a role you missed that you wish you had picked up?
Yeah, so I would say Ash is my favorite all-time role simply because he's vocally probably the farthest from me. Also, to play a character for 8 years is really a luxury, to just know a character so inside and out. And I loved his positivity and all of that. I audition for a lot of things, and most things I don't get, so pretty much everything I audition for, I wish I had gotten.
Okay.
When I prepare for an audition, I look up as much as I can now that we have the internet. You can do that, and to see kind of if it's a role that's coming in, see what the style of the show is, and if not, I try to research whatever. When I do an audiobook, I research the author to see kind of what they sound like so that I can kind of keep that in mind when I interpret their characters. But yeah, pretty much everything I hope I get, so yes.
Did you play Ash from all the way through Kanto to Kalos?
Not Kalos, so in Johto, Hoenn, and Kanto in there, so I'm in the first 8 years of the show.
First 3 generations.
First 3, there, that's the best way to put it, I think. So hopefully the ones that you like. Okay, I'll go with you there.
Hi, I actually work with kids and keeping them, hopefully keeping them to stay in school.
Right.
And I just wanted to see if you could give kids a like message about studying your craft, staying in school and learning? Because obviously you're saying you have to research authors
Right.
and, characters. So there's obviously an educational component, at least knowing how to read.
Right.
So can you talk about that and just
Yeah, sure.
building your craft?
Do you work with all ages or a specific range, or?
I'm a case manager for like youth 14 to 24 years old.
Sure.
So making sure they stay in school.
Yeah.
And then maybe go to secondary school or primary
So
school.
I think what I would say, and this is my experience, the thing is, everyone says stay in school, and it has absolutely no meaning, because it's just like, don't do drugs. There are many reasons why you shouldn't be doing drugs, but if someone just says don't do it, well then you're kind of more curious. But if you really talk about how bad it is, and the other things around it, or how much it turns you into someone no one wants to talk to, that's a better reason to not do that. The same for staying in school. School can be incredibly boring, and also some teachers just don't work with you. But the point of school, all of that aside, the point of school is to teach you how to learn. And it's to teach you to love learning, because you're going to get out of school, and the rest of your life, you're going to be learning. But it's up to you to teach yourself. So the reason you stay in school, and the reason you push yourself to figure out the system, because you have to figure out, some teachers, they like things a certain way, so you have to figure out how to do it that way. And the next year, it's a whole different thing. But that's the challenge to yourself, and that's where you have to learn how to love that challenge, because ultimately it's making you a better person. Definitely reading helps. Every day I read so much. Nowadays, I read at least the headlines from the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times. I listen to NPR on the radio. I constantly am getting in information so that I understand what's happening in the world and how I relate to it. If I didn't learn about history in school, I wouldn't know how to do that. And I've forgotten everything I learned in school. But I come here and I can find, I understand how to plug that in because I learned that in school. School is really hard, and it can be horrible. And that's where you talk to your teachers. If you go up to your teachers and you say, I'm really having a hard time with this assignment, the teacher is always going to be there to help you out. When you show that you want to learn, but you're just having trouble, that's where that understanding is going to help you get an A. And the A doesn't matter when you're 20 or 40, but what it does matter is that you feel a sense of accomplishment. So grades, ultimately, each teacher has their own way of grading, so you can't think about that. But did you learn? Did you do your best? That's the best thing. But really, it's about moving forward on your journey, I think. School is hard, but when you build your groups, you've got your librarians who can help you with so much, teachers, friends, study groups, things like that. I don't know, I went to college because I got a bachelor's of arts, this is for the last question answered, because I wanted to get a well-rounded education, because as an actor, you can only portray people if you understand people, if you understand politics and history and science and math. I'm not so great with that, but I think if I were growing up now, I would learn math in a different way and I would be a lot better at it, because I've learned it through my daughter. See you later. So anyway, all of that stuff, you just have to find your way in and then just keep building yourself. If for no other reason, you'll be much more interesting at a party, and that's where all your networking happens. So if the more you know, the more you can talk about with other people. So that's probably the longer you stay in school, the better you are at a party at meeting people. So there's the bottom line for you. You're welcome. Yes, Ash.
So in 8 years, you did a lot of episodes of Pokemon. Were there any episodes that were some of your favorites?
Pokemon for me is like a gigantic blob of journey. Really. We would go in, and when you dub something, you only see your lines. So I would not remember anything that happened in the episode when I left there, because I'm so involved in just the moment. You get the script right when you go in, and then you just basically start, and we wouldn't preview, we would just jump right in. So it's very fast and exciting, and you're really just in that moment. But from watching the shows back, the emotional episodes are the best for me in terms of what I remember experiencing the most. Ash's relationship with Pikachu, I think, well, I remember when they were all caught in the cave and with Snowrunt, or when he's getting Charizard in the beginning when that other trainer has been so mean. And, you know, things like that, they're so real. That's the parts that I remember the most.
I still cry by that Butterfree.
Yeah, that one too. You know, all of that stuff. And it was emotional in the moment. When I watch it, I remember recording it. But I don't remember it right when I leave the studio, if that makes any sense. Yes.
What's your favorite book that you have to audible?
Gosh, I get to read so many books. Recently, what grade are you in?
6th.
So I read Samantha Spinner and the Super Secret Plans, and then the second one, which I can't remember, it's Samantha Spinner and something else that's awesome. Those books are really fun because I love the adventure of it. I've gotten to read Judy Blume, a book that she wrote for adults, and The Pain in the Great One, which she wrote for kids. I love those, so great, because I love the conversation in it. I do a lot of other stuff like this whole Amish murder mystery series, which I don't recommend for you. But it's pretty chilling.
Have you ever had to do an audiobook for any of the Percy Jackson books?
I haven't read any Percy Jacksons, actually.
Those are my favorite books.
Really? Have you listened to audiobook or do you read them?
I do both.
Yeah. Do you like them, that audiobook? That's good. I have Erin Beatty. I'm starting her 3rd book in a series, which I can't remember that's a pretty cool adventure series also. Anyway, yeah, I love reading, and so I love narrating as well. It's pretty neat. Yes?
What's your favorite Pokeball?
My favorite Pokeball is just the regular red and white one. What's yours?
Mine is the purple and white.
Purple, yeah, I like that one too, with the M on it. Yeah, I like that too, because I have one at home. Yeah, it's very pretty. I like purple. Yes, you, and then I'll get to you.
Yeah. So I was wondering, are we ever gonna see Misty in anything again?
I have no idea. So since I'm only in the first 8 years, I don't know what's happened since then. Really, I don't watch the show.
Occasionally later on, but
Are you missing Misty?
I thought Ash and Misty had a good friendship going, and they took her off.
I know. Yeah, it's really.
Other than in the movies. The
Right.
cartoon movies.
Yeah, I know. I find that very sad also. That just like, it's the same thing, like you have, in real life, you have such great friends and then you don't see them ever again. Maybe there's a, see you later. Maybe there's Facebook it's somehow they just, no, they'll run into each other again, I'm sure, but who knows if it'll be on the
it
show.
seems that Misty's gotten more into contests than being a gym leader, so if they bring contests back into the show, she may show up again, because that's what they did with May.
I see. So,
Yeah,
good
and
to know.
then my other one is the real life Pokemon movie. Are you any voices in that?
They haven't contacted me about anything, so I'm totally open to it. I would love to do that. I was secretly hoping that as like a fun thing in the Detective Pikachu or something, they would, like, maybe I could play the mom or something. But they haven't. Believe me, I have any person I knew. I was like, this could be a good idea. So I tried, but no avail. Yes, and then I'll come to you. What's your question?
So you talked a lot about diving into a character's like psyche, figuring out where they're coming from. Have you ever had a character that you wanted to play that was just really, really hard to get into, or was cast for, that was just really hard to figure out and connect with? And how did you connect with that character?
Usually, I would say in a play, things can be, the characters, you have more time to really dive in, and if you have a good director, you can figure it out, because you have 6 weeks usually to rehearse something. I've done summer stock where you have 1 week or 2 weeks, depending on, you have like 1 week to learn the play and then you do it for a week, or 2 weeks and 2 weeks. And that's really where your training comes in, I think, where it helps you to shorten the wondering time and and really use the tactics you've been taught to break things down. I don't think, I was doing a Carol Churchill play at one point, and some of those characters were a little hard to figure out right away. But otherwise, bless you, I haven't, bless you, I haven't had that much. A lot of the stuff I get, really you walk in and they're like, hey, could you try this? Or, you know, and you have to jump in. You don't have time to overthink it, you just have to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
She got a question.
Yes?
How was it working with Eric Scooter and voice actors of Misty?
Sure, Rachel, Lillis. They're great friends of mine. We've never been in the booth together at the same time, but I really love working with them on everything, actually. The problem with being a voice actor is you really work alone most of the time. Some shows I work on, there are more than one person in the booth. Sometimes, like I worked on a show called Astroblast, and 2 of us recorded in New York, 3 people in Boston, and the person who directed was on the phone from LA. So those scenes are all kind of
crazy networking going on.
Yeah, it was amazing stuff, but you're still part of the group, and the directors brings it all together, even though you're not together. And certainly Rachel and Eric are fantastically talented, so we were all able to work together apart. So it's great.
Who's the voice actors of Jesse?
Rachel Lillis, yeah.
In this season?
Yeah, and Eric did James and Rob. Yes. How do I make Pokemon? Do you mean how, hold on, let me just hold on a second. Do you mean how does the cartoon come together, or? So Pokemon ultimately is a cartoon that is, it's drawn and voiced first in Japan. And in Japan, all the actors sit in a room and talk together. They play it like a radio play. And then when it comes to America, we see the picture and you have to fit the lip flap. So I have to talk when Ash's mouth goes like this. And then you figure it out like that. And when it comes to America, some person translates it from Japanese into English, and another person adapts it so it sounds a little bit more like Americans are speaking it. And then the actors get the script. We go in the booth, you put on headphones, and you see a tiny TV screen, and you hear 3 beeps, beep, 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 and then you start talking, and then you just fit the flap. And if it doesn't work, you do it again, sometimes 10 times. Sometimes you get it on the first take, and then you move on to the next one. That's basically it. Is that what you mean? There's a lot of artists involved. Do you like drawing? There's a lot of artists involved in making a cartoon, because you have to sketch it out first in a storyboard, which you could do at home actually. You put squares on the paper, and you can draw the pictures and write what you want that to be said in the picture, and then someone else draws the whole cartoon, and then they put that all together. So, and sometimes in comic books, for instance, someone draws it, someone else colors it in. You guys could work together. That maybe. So that's how it works out. Is that good? Did you? That's good. Did you bring it? I'll look at it later on. Or you can draw another one later. All right. Your question?
Yeah. Who's your favorite Team Rocket member? Jesse, James, or Meow?
There's Team Rocket in the room, so I'll say Meow. You know what? I think you guys can come in if you want. There's plenty of room. You can just walk across if you want. I love Team Rocket. I think without that humor, the show would be nothing. You know, I mean, it's the old vaudeville style of humor, and it's something that's just so classic. I think that's what makes it work, really, and that's the foil to Ash, who's pretty normal and kind of not interesting, ultimately. And then you've got the funny people around him. He's the straight man, and everybody else gets the funnier parts. So I don't mind it. Yes.
Okay, so during the height of Pokemania, what was like, how did it feel seeing or hearing your voice on the big screen with like the theatrical releases, like the first movie in 2000? How was that,
Right.
knowing that you had reached worldwide by this time?
Yeah, I never actually thought about that. And interestingly enough, when I went to see the first movie, my daughter was just like 1. She was born at the end of the first season. So really, I'm carrying her in the Bjorn, so I never got to sit through the whole movie. I was really lucky about it. So I will say, not that all of you should think about this right now, but having a child is really the best thing for you and your ego, because it's just not about you anymore. And in a way, it shouldn't be about you, because all of us need to be thinking, like, how do my actions affect the whole world? And when you don't have a child reminding you of that, you lose track. So I actually never, it's not until now really, when we're all older and we've seen Pokemon for some time, that I realized how big it was. But the idea that I could be recording and then walk down the street in New York and buy, like, I bought a bunch of little Pokemon rings, you know, stuff. Like, I was like, this is so cool! But I never really thought about me being in it. I just thought about, isn't it great that I can say, people always go, oh, you're an actor, what are you doing? And I could say something that people recognized. You know, like here, I say, well, I was doing this Carol Churchill play, everyone's like, okay. But she's a great playwright, but it doesn't matter. But Pokemon is something that everybody knows. So to be an actor and for people to go, oh, cool, I know that. That's me, my kid will like that, you know, that was a pretty neat thing. I don't have that anymore, but, but that, no, I mean, that recognition of saying you're on something, you know, was pretty cool. But now to see you later. Okay, cool. To see, you know, this, like, how great everyone is who's grown up with the show, and I've traveled around the world and seen, like, Pokemon fans, amazing people. And it's just been it's been really great. And to be a small part of that is quite an honor and overwhelming, really. Yeah.
Well, I have another one.
Yes, okay.
I know
Got so much time.
non-disclosure agreements are a big thing, but do you have any upcoming projects you can't tell us about?
I just, Relakama and Kaoru just started on Netflix, which is a stop-action, adorable show. That started Friday, last Friday, a week ago, and I couldn't talk about it for some reason. Before that, I've got some video games coming out, that maybe like July, there's a video game coming out. I don't know the name of it because they haven't told me, but it's going to be pretty cool. The story, the art, it's just going to be amazing. And if I could tell you the name, I would, but I don't know what it is.
That's all right.
But I will announce that on my social media and all that, you know, junk. As soon as I can, as soon as I know what it is. That's the thing. A lot of video games, you don't know the name of it. Like I'm in. I don't know, something, and people were like, oh, I love your voice on this thing, and I was like, are you sure that's me? Because I didn't know what the name was. So, anyway, what else? I have a lot of audiobooks, a lot that I'm doing this past week. I was doing double headers, like 10 to 4 and 4:30 to, well, I had to drive in LA, so I think we started at 5, so 10 to 4, 5 to 10. I was doing 2 different audiobooks. So by Wednesday, I'd finished 2 books, which was big books, which were good. Big books. And then, yeah, I don't know, I'm working on so many things. I would just say stay tuned. I just post stuff as soon as I know
Just follow your
about
social
it.
media.
I guess that's I mean, I hate to say that, but it does help me get work now. The most ridiculous thing of all is that in Los Angeles, it matters to them how many followers you have, which I find horrible. But if you are on social media and care to follow me, I would appreciate it. But it's just a horrible thing that as if none of us have anything better to do with our time than to be on social media. I mean, come on. But anyway, that said, that's where I announce all this stuff. And at some point, my website will be up, so you could just go there.
He's got another one.
Yes. So I love, see you guys later. I love superhero things, but you know what I would love? Actually, as I'm talking about this, I would love a superhero who's really a librarian. You know, like, and I know there's the librarians or whatever, and see you Miss Frizzle. She's a school teacher, right, with the Magic School Bus. I mean, that's pretty much. I got to play her in some of the Magic School Bus books. I got to be Miss Frizzle for a while, so it was a pretty awesome character. Yeah, it was an amazing thing, and I was like, oh my god! I did that for a little while, so that was neat. But I would love to, the power of knowledge, and if you can have a show about that, that would be good. Maybe I'll make my own show about that. See you guys later. Thank you, you too. Yes, and then I'll come back to you.
What inspired you to become an actor?
My parents are actors, so I had an understanding of it. And then I was doing a production of Goldilocks. I was Goldilocks. I was 5, and I don't know. There was a moment. You know the story where she's in a house and she sits in all the chairs, and when she's in Baby Bear's chair, it just falls. Well, I remember falling and thinking, hold for the laugh, and waiting, and then going on with my lines. And that's the moment I decided I wanted to be an actor. And when I got out of grad school, I thought, God, should I have thought about doing something else? But it was too late. By then, it was too late. So that was it, really. I've always gone to theater when I was little. I've always seen my parents in shows they've been in, and it's just, I don't know. It's just what I love. I love to get outside myself and be someone else, I guess. Did you have a question?
What's your least favorite voice?
Well, one time I did an anime where I went in and the character I was playing was a boy, and at the very end they found out it was a girl disguised as a boy, and I was like, couldn't you have told me that from the beginning? And I don't think they knew. So the point is, I was very upset about that because I would have played it differently. I would have been able to layer in more of who she was and how she was disguising herself. So I don't know that I didn't like doing the job, but I was very disappointed at the end. And they were like, it's fine. So that I don't like to work like that. What else? Anything else?
I'm going to take you back to Sailor Moon for a minute if
Okay,
no one else
sure.
has questions. So, the Sailor Moon fandom has been waiting for an English translation of Stars for over 20 years.
Right.
We're finally getting the first half of it in June.
Oh.
Has recording on Stars finished completely, or is there still episodes
I
left?
can't tell you that.
Not-
I have no
Didn't
idea.
know if it was anything you could pass on
So
or not.
also, when I go in to record Sailor Moon, it's just we just have scripts. So sometimes I don't know what we're recording.
So you could
what
be doing
section.
multiple episodes at the same time and things that way.
There's always many episodes being done. So I don't know, honestly, I don't know how to answer that for you because I know the least about what's happening there. The fact that my character doesn't talk a lot means I don't go in a lot.
Yeah.
So I really don't know.
I know Stars Pluto has more showtime than some of the other
Oh, really?
series. Yeah,
Hey.
S and Stars, she's in it way more than the other ones. So
Awesome.
so she'll have some more screen time.
Thank you for letting me know that. I don't know if we've done Stars or
I know the first half is getting released on video in June.
so probably
So-
that's done. Yeah, I don't know. I'll find that out. Yes.
So you mentioned you visited some places here in Cape. Has there been a place that stand out for you, or do you not have a favorite?
I love this town. I have been on Main Street and Spanish Street mostly. I got to meet, I went to 36 Restaurant, I went to Dynamite Coffee, and then I went to, I've been, antiquing like crazy. I got some really cool stuff, but that fits in my luggage. But I could have got furniture, which was really great. But anyway, and then also a pharmacy. So, and the people who run that and the antique store next to it are just so amazing. But all of them are committed to local produce. They're really big into the community, and I got pictures with them. So, like the thing about it, that's what made it my favorite, is that I learned so much about this area by going in there. So when I get to any town, I always look up farm to table, Cape Girardeau, farm to table, whatever, because I find that the restaurants that are talking to the farmers are the ones who also are the most committed to their community. I always go to a farmer's market, which yours doesn't start till May 5th, so I'm missing that. So, but like I always do that to really figure out who the people are. So that's been my favorite thing so far. I did get a grammar book from 1906 at the everyone needs grammar, okay? Right? So the thing is, has anyone diagrammed sentences? Did you do that in school? Right? But they don't do that anymore. So I'm going to be doing something like that for sure. Because, you know, nobody, I mean, that was like the most, okay, it's not like it was the most fun at school because that makes me sound like I had a sad childhood, but like diagramming sentences is like the old Sudoku, you know?
Well, I think we have time for one more question.
Oh, okay, go and I'll answer fast.
Okay, because of the way she sneezes.
Yes?
Can you please do Ash's Peach and use Thunderbolt?
Oh, do you want me to just say it? You don't have to sneeze.
Yeah.
Ash. I mean, no, Pikachu. Wait, who are you? Who am I? Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Yeah. Is there any other question I can answer really fast?
So we can get a quick one in.
I know you get asked to do Ash impressions all the time. Is there any way you can do a May impression?
She kind of sounds like this, so I guess I could. Thank you. You had a question back here? Yes?
You said you like going around like the restaurants and stuff. In the West Park Mall, there's like a huge pamphlet that shows you every single restaurant in Cape. So like, if you're going to
Is that the one that is on both sides?
Yeah.
I have it. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. If anyone has recommendations, I'm open to them. On Monday, I'm driving back up to St. Louis, so right now on my list is St. Genevieve because I went through there and didn't find the cool part, so I have to go back. Kinswick, everything was closed, but I drove through that. I'm hitting the park, not Mammoth, you know, what's the giant? What's that? Mastodon. Thank you for that. Mastodon State Park, and then the airport. Awesome.
I got two quick recommendations.
Yes.
Up at Perryville on the way up to St.
Perryville.
Louis, Heckley's Donuts, delicious. And then Villainous Grounds.
Villainous Grounds, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Now, Villainous Grounds is
Yeah.
here for anyone who needs coffee.
But
Not yet, but I'll get some.
but no, Heckley's is the best donuts I've had since the one in Jackson closed
Okay.
down years ago.
Are you? All right, I'll stop through Perryville. So I'm gonna get a really early start of the donuts, and I'll be like driving, and soon I have to keep moving the steering wheel. You guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me, coming by my table. I'm here all weekend. I don't have any other panels, so you're gonna have to bring your questions to me. But thank you. It's just such an honor to be here with all of you. So thank you. Get out of here.
If anyone else likes Pokemon, there's a conspiracy theory panel at 1:30 with yours truly.
And there's a Pokemon tournament at noon.